Howdy, howdy. Welcome back to Mike's Moment of. Now, creativity doesn't only live in melodies, words, or performance. Sometimes it lives in the spaces we build, the structures that hold story, light, and human experience. My guest today is someone who understands creativity not just as expression, but as construction. Robin Baston is an architect, lighting and set designer, and the technical director for the Gunga Walk Festival, and much more. Someone whose work quite literally shapes the environments where art and community come alive. In this episode, titled Building Creativity, we explore the intersection of design and imagination, the technical and the intuitive, and what it means to create spaces that allow others to discover themselves. This is Mike's Moment of. Welcome, Robin. How you doing?
I'm good. I'm good.
Yay! Thanks for
Happy
saying that.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year! Happy New Year! Um,
Mhm.
yeah, I'm really happy you said yes. We've worked together quite a bit in a few different areas for the whole long. Gunga Walk for sure, as
Mhm.
as the technical director you are, and
And at Edna
and it's,
Performance
yeah,
Lab.
we did quite a bit,
Yeah,
yeah.
and the shows. Yeah.
Yeah. So and I've always enjoyed your work because I know you've designed homes for friends of yours that we've enjoyed sharing space in as well. So I'm happy to talk to you about all these different things that make you do what you do. First off, let's talk about quickly. 'Cause I don't want to spend too much time on school things, but where you went to school? Yeah,
I went to Wilmer's, where you went as well.
that's right. That's right.
um, yeah, I went to Wilmer's. Then when I left there, I went to Cast. I wasn't a brilliant student at Wilmer's or anything. Wasn't a brilliant student at Cast either, but but got through it.
Yeah,
And then I eventually went off to the UK to study architecture.
okay.
And it was interesting that when I started at UTech, well, it was Cast at the time,
Hmm.
um, was when I first got involved in entertainment in theater. So it's been a kind of bizarre trajectory because I've never really known much of a life that the two were separated.
Hmm.
So because as I started at Cast is when I started in entertainment. So I was starting architecture from then and entertainment. So it was just like the two just went together the entire time. People said, "Oh, did this start before this?" Or I said, "No, I've just known the two of
Hmm.
them as one creative, kind of thing happening all at once."
Okay, we're gonna jump around. We're not going chronologically. Let's
Clearly.
let's talk about Father Holong, as I like to call him, Daddy Holong. But let's
Go
call him
ahead.
Father Holong. And how did you get involved in Father Holong?
Well, it was a bit of a roundabout route because we have a friend, a mutual friend, Greg Thames,
Hmm.
who has been working with Father for a million years. And when I was initially, well, early, I shouldn't say early, but whatever, involved in theatre, I'd never seen a Father Holland show. He used to have these productions at Little Theatre, and they were always oversold and whatever. So Greg actually told me to come along and see one of the shows that they were doing.
Hmm.
So when I got there, the place was oversold and it was just chaos and whatever and stuff. And long story short, I didn't get to see the show.
Oh wow. Okay.
And then when it had gotten to a point, I think when Father Holong had decided to shift the shows to Arena with Jesus 2000, Greg called again, this time now to actually come and work on the show and help out. So I came in, and that was the first show I worked on with Holong. That would have been in 2000. Nice date to remember, Jesus 2000. And then I didn't sorry.
Sorry.
Then I didn't do anything with them for a while. Just kind of like, I guess, myself and we just, yeah, the fit didn't really quite fit at the time. Everything in its
Right.
time. Just like
Yeah.
Grace leaving
Yeah.
the convent and stuff.
Yeah.
And then several years later, Greg called again. I keep getting involved in these things because people call me in.
Yes. Yes.
And
Yes.
and he called me again when they were going to be going on tour with Isaiah. And
Mhm.
so I went and I did that show and then did another one. And then after that, I was kind of like, yeah, I became part of the whole thing. But
Mhm.
yeah, I
Mhm.
kind of get drawn into things.
Yeah, I know the feeling because I think not too long after I was drawn into it as well.
There you go. Yeah, but
And
you escaped.
I escaped. Yes, I was smart. No, I'm kidding. Because
No,
yeah,
but
it can be quite unwieldy. Yeah.
yeah, it's they're huge productions, especially the arena versions. When we go traveling overseas and they're in the theaters, they're a little bit more contained and controlled, and
Yeah.
you're not doing a show for 4,000 people. It's just 100, not 100, but like 800 people or so. But um, it's a wonderful mix because it gives me an opportunity to not only get my creative on,
Hmm.
but to serve as well. Because I mean,
Right.
the shows are benefiting
Right.
the
Absolutely.
less fortunate people. So yeah, so there's a double satisfaction in that. And
Hmm.
I guess that's why I've kind of stayed in there.
Yeah.
As stressful, yeah. You see all this gray hair? Yeah, I would say
Hmm.
half of these are from Father
Yeah.
Long shows,
So I
and
mean, I like to say I mean, maybe I should not say this in public. It don't matter. It doesn't matter. It's my show. That
you
you know,
okay? You started off already out there,
right?
so you
I
might
know
as well.
the Catholic guilt plays a big part, not only for the people who attend, but also
Right.
for some of us, even though we're not Catholic. Some of us, for some of us who are giving, who keep going back as well. Which
Hmm.
I mean, I know it exists. I'm not saying that is something wrong with the show. That is Catholic guilt. I'm just
Hmm.
saying that there's that plays a little bit of a part in it. I think also this is an amazingly talented group of people that you get to work with, not just on stage but off stage. Some people who are at the top of their game and just are giving of their hearts, giving of their souls, giving of their time, and it's such a wonderful thing to be around, and to be a part of. You know.
It is. It is. No, it's very inspiring. That's
Yes.
that's that's the thing about it. I get my creative on.
Mhm.
I know I'm helping, people who are less fortunate. Um, but that environment, to work in this environment with, I said, these super creative people, the musicians, the singers,
Yeah.
other artists, other technical people, because we
Yeah.
bring in different technical people to do stuff. And what's always very rewarding is working with the brothers themselves.
Yeah.
Working with that community. I think
Mhm.
they've tempered me a lot. I think I've become a lot more calmer. Some people might say no, but yeah, different people see different sides at different times.
Right. 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 Right.
Um, but I'll tell you a funny story. One time, we were overseas doing a show, and you have very strong Catholic community and the associates overseas who help out with these productions. And I was in the technical box. Yeah, and something was going wrong. It was just not one of those smoother productions. And I can't remember, but I kicked off and just there was a few bad words went flying around the place, and the F word a couple of times.
As you do. As you do.
Yeah, well, I'll say generally I'm a lot calmer in the whole long shows, but this happened, and of course some of the associates were in the room, and they just no, it wasn't the associates. It was whatever. It was one of the technical people or something that worked
Uh,
there. Spun around and looked at me in absolute horror and shock, and I just turned and said, "I'm not Catholic, okay?"
can
And
be,
so that would explain everything, right?
indeed.
So, but
Yeah,
yeah,
little did they know that probably most of the people there weren't Catholic anyway.
are not.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. At least three-quarters of the production are not Catholic. There,
exactly.
I mean, Winton, who is one of the lead and the musical director, he's Baptist.
Yes.
Several of the other people are Methodists, and different denominations and so on, all over the place. I think the stage manager at one point, or one of the stage managers we had was Anglican. You
Yeah.
know, I was actually confirmed an Anglican,
Me too.
um, but I don't really subscribe to any real religion per se. But
Yeah,
yeah, so yeah, it's just a wonderful environment to work in. You know,
yeah, yeah.
um,
Can we show any? I
so
mean, we have some videos. Maybe we can show a couple
sure,
clips.
sure.
Hopefully, I'll find the right clips. Okay, let's put in. Where is this one from?
All right. So can you hear me over the
Yes,
noise? I feel
yes.
like I'm in the show itself. Yeah, this is a scene from the prodigal son in the Jesus. Well, it's not Jesus 2000 now. It's they've retitled it either Messiah or Jesus 2025.
Okay,
And this is at the National Arena in Jamaica.
right.
So we've taken the show around quite a few places: New York, North Carolina,
Okay,
Toronto, um, yeah, quite a few places.
okay. Is this from the
So
same?
yes, so this is in the Garden of Gethsemane when
Okay,
Jesus is singing to God, who is up there on the platform,
right,
and the
right.
disciples are sleeping while he's there, stressing out about the tribulations to come the following day.
Right, right.
Um, the Passion. And
Okay.
it's a very powerful scene, actually. That one, with just
Mhm.
him and God singing about,
Yeah.
God is saying, "Save my people," and all that. So, and
Yeah.
that's a really cool thing that we did with that production, because there were so many different locations, changing sets on a stage at the arena where you don't really have the normal theater environment of a backstage and flies and all that kind of stuff coming in.
Yeah.
We decided that we do all the set changes with projection mapping.
Okay.
So, the whole of the back part of the stage, if you can jump back to it, the
Yeah.
image is
Uh,
really a screen. Yeah, it's really a screen. And so we had, in this particular one, every time God sang, the stars would brighten and you see them flickering there like that
oh, nice.
because
Okay.
God controls the universe, right?
Right. Yes.
And
Yes. Yes.
so there were lots of things like that. And then it would switch to the city gates and it would switch to the desert and all this kind of stuff. And yeah, it worked, you know?
Okay.
So,
For the techie people, what software we're using for projection mapping?
Resolute.
Resolume. Okay. Okay.
Resolute. We have a guy who's
Arena. Yeah.
an expert with that.
Good.
So that particular show was technically, it looks relatively simple, but
Yeah.
that synergy between the video mapping guys, the lighting, which I do the lighting and planning out the tech, and the blocking. So the video guy, lighting me, lighting technical director, and the director work really closely in where we're positioning the cast and different things, because what you don't want is shadows
The shadows. Right.
showing
Exactly.
showing on the backdrop, because it's, it says the video is projecting, and all of that is all worked out, and it's, just finely tuned and so on, and
Right.
we have it down pat, and you create the
Nice.
whole illusion with, you know smoke and
Cool.
mirrors, man.
Yep. Who was your Resolume guy?
A guy named Serchan Morris.
Oh, Searchin. Yeah. Okay. The
Yeah.
reason I asked because
Hmm.
Searchin also when I started to use Resolume for Edna Manley, Searchin was
Hmm.
who I went to.
There you go. Yeah,
So
there you
every
go.
little thing is
Yeah,
like Searchin. Where I find this? Where? Okay. So
that's right. That's
excellent,
right.
excellent,
And that
excellent.
was really cool because when we took the show to Trinidad, the guys down in Trinidad who they'd been doing, various video things and all that, and when they saw the show, they were just like, "Oh my God, we need to know this." So then they just shipped Searching down there like on a monthly basis to do
Nice,
stuff.
nice.
And then when we're in Philippines, was it 2 years ago, 3 years ago? And Searchin had gone to the first time we went to the Philippines, but he couldn't go the second time. So we had to find someone local in Manila to do the video mapping. And we found a guy who then used Resolume, but they'd never used it like this before. And so when we were trying to explain to them what we wanted, it was a little bit of a challenge. But once they got the idea, like the first couple of things in the rehearsals,
Hmm.
they're like, "Oh my God, we've never done this before. This is really cool." So
Nice.
yeah. I mean, it's not like
Um,
we're inventing anything, but it's just Yeah, a lot
Yeah.
of people don't actually experience doing it. They see it and they don't know what it is.
Yeah.
Or how
Yeah.
it's done.
Yeah. Okay.
Mm.
Okay. Um, what do you think is for with Father Holong has been like? Is there a particular moment, a show, or even something in rehearsal that has really stood out to you? Something that happened that has been like something that kind of moved you, or made you want to keep going back, or you know, or
Um, there are a few things. There's several things. What was that song you sang
all
in
right, yes,
Yes, or Reggae Jam Opera? You were
right,
performing and you were one of the priests singing. And
yeah.
what was the name of the song?
Well, I'm trying to remember. I can't remember. It's been
But
a while.
it was a big part about the whole part of the main character deciding to follow
Yes,
and continue his
it
belief.
was like a
He had a
trio, I think,
crisis of
wasn't it?
faith. Yeah, it was a
Yes,
crisis of faith, and then
yeah,
the two other priests come and they
yeah,
sing with him and
yeah.
reinforce that. And I'm just talking about it now; just gives me a chill down my
Yeah,
back.
I'm getting chills
But
too because I remember it. I
yeah,
remember it. I don't remember the song, but I remember the moment, and I remember
that's
feeling
right.
those feels because and it's not just. I mean, the song is one thing, but also how it was
Hmm.
staged, with your lighting, everything kind of came together to make
Everything.
it really
Well, what
special.
you didn't see because it was behind you as well was we had designed a set piece that came on as a platform,
Okay.
and the front of the church formed by these flats that raised up and then extended up, and all this was happening that
Oh
you didn't see
wow.
wires or anything that was
Yeah.
happening behind you. You never saw it. But when it all came together, and it's just this powerful moment of this character, um sort of, I say, having this crisis of faith, and then these other characters reinforcing that, and then the church appearing behind and everything.
Hmm.
And I used to cry every single night
Wow.
when I was watching it, because not only was it just powerful, the message, but all the imagery came together. And of course, I've told you this before, Michael. Whenever you sing, that it just moves me. It's
Oh,
like you have a voice of an angel,
thank you,
you
sir.
know.
Thank you. Thank you.
So, but there are other moments that are just hilarious. I mean,
Yeah.
I used to hate the student shows when I first started doing the arena shows, and you have 6,000 crazy wild
And they're loud.
students in there just
Yeah.
making noise. You can barely hear the show,
Yeah.
and I would hate it. I hated
Yeah.
it the first few years, but after a while, I started to love it so much because the kids get so engaged,
Mm.
and they get it. They
Yeah.
get it. You hear this noise the whole time. It's like this din, and then
Yes.
something is happening on the stage, and then it's like champs. Seriously, it's as loud as if you were at champs inside the stadium. I mean, you have to put your hands over your ears because the kids are screaming and yelling, and they get it.
Yeah.
Um, and the funniest moment was in Reggae Jam Opera, a scene where there's a gunman, a Don man, is trying to get the younger character, the young man, to take the gun and become a gunman, and he's
Yeah.
resisting it, and you have 6,000 kids screaming, "No, no!" They're telling him, "Don't take the gun," and you're going, the kids get it, they get it. This
Yeah.
is not right. He shouldn't take the gun.
Yeah.
And then when he takes the gun, he points it back at the Don man who's just given it to him and says, "Who's the real man now?" And then all the kids, 6,000 kids, scream, "Kill him! Kill him!" So they clearly have a sense of what's right and wrong,
Yeah.
but you know, but it's
Yeah.
it's moments like that just make it so precious. And at the end, when you see the kids, just being so engaged, and then we even have kids that after the show they stay back and they tidy up, they fix up the whole arena, they sweep up the whole place, and you're like, oh my god, you
Yeah.
know, there's hope. That's a big Catholic thing, right? Hope.
Hope. Yeah.
So
Indeed.
yeah. So there
Indeed.
there there are just so many levels of stuff that is just
I want to show
exciting with that.
this image from one of the shows. You can't tell me which one it is. But for me, the image was really striking.
Hmm.
Because of how it's set and the lighting and everything else. Um,
Ah, so this was a show he father had done at Little Theatre. Ironically, this was a show that Greg had wanted me to see.
oh, okay.
When I first, he first wanted me to, whatever, many many years ago. It was in like 1990 something or other, called Ruby.
All
And
right.
it's about this, yeah, it's about this woman who, she's a prostitute, and she has these kids and whatever and so on. And it's a show of redemption and so on. And there's this particular scene where the little boys are at the it's portrayed that they're down at Riverton City at the dump and they're looking for stuff. And one of the kids is actually looking for a present because he's looking, whatever. He eventually finds a ring or something, but he's looking for a present. And so the whole scene is this big pile of garbage. And, there's, the fog machine makes it all smoky and whatever, and like it stinks. And the boys eventually decide to go to sleep right there. And in the night, a bulldozer comes. So we actually have this part where the headlights and the noise of the bulldozer with all the squeaky tracks and everything comes over the thing. And basically they get killed. We don't show it, but you hear the scream and you see the bulldozer coming over. And it's a very poignant moment in the film, film, Jeremy, but film in the show.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
there's a lot of instances taken from real life, from true things in these Father Holong shows.
Yes.
Was this one of them?
Yes. There was an incident, but the actual incident of the boys getting killed was actually something that apparently had happened in the Philippines. It didn't actually happen in Jamaica.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Right. But this thing with the boys, the characters that they were based on were these little boys who used to go to Riverton City, and that happens today. People live in Riverton City and they're at the garbage dump, foraging for all manner of things they can fix, sell, do whatever, So,
yeah. As I said, we're not going in any particular order. I want to talk about the because you said lately that you're what you're doing more than anything else apart from the architecture, which we'll get to as well, is you're doing stuff with the dance group at Campion.
Yes.
How did that start? Well, yes, we know Grace was the principal. But it's probably not because of Grace, because you're involved in so much theater anyway. But so tell me, how did that start with you, being involved with the dance group at Campion? Because the dance group became a thing. It wasn't always that big. It's not like Wilma's dance group where people have known for years. Oh, the dance group at Wilma's.
No, what happened is that, well, the guy, the artistic director, Wright, who's an econ teacher or was an econ teacher at Campion, saw these, 4 or 5 kids in their little black leotards, and that was the Campion dance troupe. And he said, no, we can be way more than this.
Yeah.
And so Grace, the principal, my wife at the time, well, she's still my wife, she was a principal at the time, was very supportive of the arts and helped all of that grow.
Yeah. And
Nadia was actually a lighting designer at the time, at the beginning. But because of my connection with the whole thing, I used to go and I used to videotape the dances so they would have a record of it.
Right.
And then one year, Nadia couldn't do it. And so somebody said to Dwight, well, you could have Robin design it. He was like, what does Robin know about lighting? And they're like, oh, really? You don't know? Robin's been doing lighting faces. So Dwight was like, oh, okay. And so that's how I ended up doing the lighting. So this view here is actually a view from the technical booth with my equipment looking down on the stage of them doing their dance, one of the dance numbers. And so I just became their lighting designer and, technical advisor for various stuff. That's been going on, oh God, how long now? That's about 8 years or so. Yeah. And of course, the dance troupe has grown from being 5 kids in black leotards to the point where they don't even bother enter JCDC anymore because they just win everything.
Yes.
And so it just kind of was becoming unfair. And now they've started doing tours. Just last year we were in Florida. The year before that we were in New York and Florida.
Okay.
And they're planning some additional tours around the Caribbean and the UK between this year and next year. I mean, this is where the Campion dance troupe it's immensely. The kids are very talented. The writers works them really hard. Luckily, he doesn't work me too hard. He just says, Robin, do your thing. He's happy with whatever I do.
Right.
So So I'm happy with that,
Yeah. Let's look at
and I guess
a couple clips of their thing and we can talk as they're going on.
sure.
What's happening here?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But you can see the discipline. You can see the obvious discipline
Mm.
that they do. And
Yeah,
all.
show the other one with some of the
Okay.
transitions and so on.
Yes.
I
Yes.
mean, this one's nice. Let's see. Oh,
And the lighting, is a part of the performance clearly
mhm.
because of the shadows and what you do with that.
Right.
Wonderful.
Hmm. Ooh, gotta chill down my spine watching that. It works when that happens.
Yes, so those transitions, man, they're
Yeah. It's wonderful when it all comes together. The choreography is beautiful, and the
mm,
great thing about working with Camp and Dance Society is that um, the their the dances to me are inspiring.
right, right.
So, whereas some people, like you're a musician, immediately your brain goes to rhythms and beats and melodies and words and whatever and stuff in your head with music. When you see something, you could see, a butterfly flying by. And,
Mm,
that's what comes to your mind. What comes to me are visual things. So whether it's, a set design or a lighting design, right away I go, ooh, how would that look with lights? And, so the music and the choreography it's inspiring and Drake along with his other choreographers are just it's always inspiring to me,
yeah.
um, to do that. So I really, really enjoy working with them. Um, so like
And
Father. And
yeah,
so those are really the only two things I really sort of like say, okay, not when I say full time, but I can't say no to them. If
right,
Father
right.
call me or Drake calls me, there's very little I can say in regards to
Hmm.
saying no. I use this.
Hmm.
Yeah, sure, okay. What do you need? Oh God, really? All right, let's do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think when I had maybe I started working with Father first, and then I started doing these shows at UE. I think I did them twice.
Hmm.
Called Armchair Revolution. I think it was after it was because of Father and my working with you and Father. I said, would you like these shows, or would you be the
Hmm.
technical director for these shows? Wasn't that right? I think. Am I getting it
Um,
right?
I can't remember, but I think I only did one of the armchair revolutions up at up
Okay.
at up at
How about you?
up at UE.
Okay.
And I think it was partly all of that whole combination of stuff with the whole thing with the video and
Right.
thing and all of that. We're trying to work that out, and I think I'd put together edited some
Yes.
video for you for that.
Yes. Yes.
And
Yes.
so that was the first time, and then you quickly segued into Gunga Walk.
To go walk. Right. Yeah.
Yeah,
Um.
that you wanted to armchair to be this bigger thing, and you had this much bigger
Right.
idea.
Right.
Mm.
So, well, I mean, let's show a couple images from Gunga Walk, and then we'll let this video play while we talk about Gunga Walk. There's a lot we can say.
There's a lot we can say about Gunga Walk.
We probably won't say all we can, but
Mhm.
this is you on the field. But well, I mean, just to say what Gunga Walk is for the people.
Mhm.
Walk was a 1 day world and alternative music and arts festival that kind of was, me and Michael Holgate came up with many years before, and then finally saw that okay, maybe we could do it. Actually, if for the people who don't know, I mean, the first time we staged it was 2012, and I think what made me think, yeah, let's do this is I was musical director for the Grand Gala that year, and it was Jamaica 50, and so every bit of money that I made from Grand Gala, I put into Gunga Walk, and
Mhm.
so that's really how that happened. Okay, here you are with Megan, who's rest in peace, is no longer with us. Yeah, sad. And our crew. For
Hmm.
these
That's
two.
Canardo, and Saeed. Canardo still works as stage manager
Yeah.
for Father Holong
Okay.
and for NDTC.
Okay.
And Saeed has his own video company.
Yes, and also
Bones,
an audiobook thing as well.
right?
Yeah.
And Bones, I'm not sure where Bones is. He's not. I don't think he's at Edna anymore.
Yeah.
And Megan, she was actually a doctor, but
Yes.
she made an excellent production assistant.
Hmm.
She worked on a Miss Jamaica show once with me, and she was just great. So,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
yep, taxi
So.
drivers.
Hmm. So we'll let this aerial footage of, so people get
Hmm.
a sense of the layout and stuff. So
Hmm.
on Gunga Walk, I mean, I'll give the background of some of it. Um, we had two stages. We had two. And what you see now is where the food and some other things would happen. But one of the stages is on the left there and around, and another
Hmm.
one towards the right. So people would walk back and forth between the stages.
Hmm.
Walk where the food and the craft and stuff was in between the two stages. And we had maybe about 30 bands and performers
30
um
bands
on the day.
throughout the day.
Yeah. Plus we had yoga at somewhere else. We had
Hmm.
some like poetry readings and book readings at somewhere else.
Hmm.
We had performing arts companies doing excerpts from their plays and
Hmm.
shows. We had
Hmm.
like a mini film festival. You know,
Hmm.
it was. I mean, it was one of a kind. I don't have anything else that's
It
happened like that.
was no, it was exceptional, and yeah, it's a shame that it didn't continue
Yeah,
because I mean, when in Jamaica have you ever had 30 bands and they finish by midnight because there's no long delays between sets or anything because they were all done as um, when one band was performing, the other band was doing their sound checks, and the
exactly.
audience would just literally walk back and forth between the stages, and people enjoyed themselves. It was great. It was wonderful, and everything was really tight. And
Mm,
as I say, you went from one stage to the next without any delays. I mean, yeah, you literally gave people a 5 minutes to walk from one stage to the next, and then the next
exactly.
performance would start.
Right.
Except for the guys from Louisiana,
Right.
because when they did their sound check, they didn't stop and they just went straight through into their performance.
Yes. Yes. And that
They
was
were
the gem.
hilarious. I mean,
Yeah.
they just did a full thing, they were really good. I enjoyed
Yeah.
them.
They're excellent.
So,
And so we have
and
on.
and what was really hard for a lot of the performances because we were running a tight ship. Um, they had, depending on the group or whatever, they had like a 20-minute to half an hour set, so they
Right.
could play, 5, 6 songs or whatever it was. And some of the artists just they couldn't get with that program at all. They're so
Yeah.
used to the indiscipline
Yes.
and the kind of free for all crazy that they'd come on the stage, and when their 20 minutes are up or nearly up, I'd give them a signal, which they'd been given the signal before their performance. Look, you're going to get your countdown, how many minutes
Yeah.
are left or whatever, so you know to wrap up your set, and hopefully you've rehearsed your set to be like that.
Hmm.
And some of them would just want to ignore it, so we turn off their mic.
Yeah.
And the audience were they got along perfectly well, because as soon as we got to that point, the audience would, like, some of the performers, they'd turn around and start heading to the next stage. They were like, okay, we're done with you.
Yeah.
You did your thing.
Yeah. We were
So
doing it. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, but
You see some images here of Susan Couch performing again. God rest
hmm
her soul.
hmm
Yeah, Susan was always supportive of this. She was on the
right.
first one, and she was also on this one. She came and
Hmm.
performed twice. Plus, she had her. She was a caterer. She had her food cart there as well.
Yeah,
Um,
that's right.
that was amazing. You know what?
Hmm.
One of the things that always struck me is that some of the people that we'd asked to perform would, I guess, assume that we were getting paid a lot of money to do the to do to do the festival. And so, if we're if we could have all these things, why can't we pay them? Because we didn't pay the artists. We didn't pay. We were kind of we it was a quite a collaborative effort. Ed and Manley gave us pretty much, they were sponsors for their whole campus. They gave us the campus to put it on. When quite a few of us were working there, and uh, we paid for some things. We paid for the things like the set, the stages and the backline. We paid for tents and those kinds of things. We even gave volunteers things. But it was hard to keep doing it and maybe do it out of my pocket. Um, so right, so it was hard to keep doing it and to try to always be out of pocket with this thing. I think this was one of the years that we got sponsors, and
Mm-hmm.
sponsors are great, but sponsors also have certain demands that always don't
Mm-hmm.
always make sense for the show that you're doing. Um,
Mm-hmm.
what is there? What, if you can think of it? What was the thing that annoyed you the most about the process that we went through, and we went through it about 4 times? And what was the thing that was
Mm-hmm.
most fulfilling about the process we went through?
Um, most annoying thing. Hmm, I think the thing that wasn't whatever frustrating. I don't know about annoying, but
Yeah,
frustrating was
frustrating. Yeah,
yeah, was that we just never got the amount of support and crowd that we thought we would get. There was a lot of talk about support, but
yeah.
it didn't really thing. And I think if the show had kept going, it would
Hmm.
have built up over the years because we did get some a good sized crowd the
Right.
last couple of years of it,
Yeah.
and so it was growing. I mean, you think of a show like Jazz and Blues. I mean, Jazz and Blues had a few hundred people when it first started. Remember when it was by the Aqueduct at Rose Hall,
Okay.
and then it grew into this massive production.
Right.
And and I think Gunga Walk was on task to do that. So that was frustrating, not annoying.
Mhm.
It was just frustrating. Yeah, there wasn't really anything annoying except, as I said, maybe the artists who
Who
just
would?
weren't getting with the
Right.
program.
Right. 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 Right.
Um, and what was interesting was, whenever you're working on productions like that and you're dealing with a lot of artists, you can really see the lack of professionalism with a lot of them. They're not accustomed to, having, the riders and putting in what it is that they need and not being clear. And I mean, we tried to evolve a process that could kind of help them as best
Yeah.
as possible. And
Yeah.
some of them just like, no, that's not what we usually work with. We don't want to be restricted by what would be in a rider, and not understanding a rider is like a contract.
Right.
And which is a good thing because we eventually included a lot of that into performance lab stuff.
That's right. That's right. That's right.
and
That's right.
and over the years I actually started to see that happening more and more with Jamaican artists, that I think there is that level of professionalism. You made a huge contribution to that with the performance lab thing coming out of Edna, because a
Hmm.
lot of those students, I mean, I remember a past student coming back to me that was working with a dancehall artist
Uh
and was like, Robin, can you help us do up a rider for this artist?
huh. Nice.
Because the artist was like, we would go overseas and whatever.
Right.
And I'll tell you a funny story. There was a band, the Blueprint Band, which came out of Edna, who had gone through the performance lab scenario, and I was working with them. And we had done a rider along with a stage plot and everything. And they were performing at Jazz and Blues.
Right.
And I'm trying to remember what year it was. But when we went to Jazz and Blues and stage manager and everything, the stage plot, he called over to all of his team, and they were all looking at the stage plot, and they were laughing. I was like, "What's the matter?" He says, "In all the years he's ever worked in Jamaica, and this is a big stage manager all the big shows in Jamaica. He
Right.
said they've never got a stage plot from a Jamaican artist ever. This was the first time ever. And here it was, these four little guys from Edna that had a stage plot. They were just blown away by it. And in the end, they even gave the guys extra time to perform because they were just so happy, you know. So so you've made a mark, Mr. Harris,
Yay! Thank you. I
you know.
mean, kicking and screaming a lot of times, but they, yeah, I'm happy that I was able to. I'm
Yeah.
still trying to, still trying to
Mm,
to to contribute in some way. You know.
yeah.
Um. So with the, yeah, and I have to say thank you again, because I mean you never said no. Every time I called, I said, "Can you come? Come to Edna and just be a guest on my on, on the performance lab and talk about this and this." And you were always there. Quite a few, I mean, I relied on you. I relied on Mikey Bennett. I relied on Susan Couch.
Mm,
Came with her one.
yes. Hmm.
And a few other people. Sharon Shouter. I feel
Hmm.
they'd show up, and so that
Hmm.
I really appreciate it. And the students probably don't even know what it meant at the time. Hopefully now they do,
Hmm.
because a lot of them are still in the music industry and touring. So,
Hmm.
uh,
No,
yay.
I think they get it. I think they get it. I think while they're at school, and you're teaching them about these aspects, of the, how your rider and your stage plot and and lighting and all these things affect their performances, and that to understand that a live performance is different from doing a recording and all this kind of stuff. And when they're in school, it's never as sort of, it doesn't, how would you call it? What's the word I'm looking for? It doesn't resonate with them as well because either they're
Right.
not experienced enough or whatever. But I've had students come back to me and say, well, Robin, what you're saying was true. It makes a difference. And
Yeah.
in fact, I tell one very satisfying and funny story was one year. I think the young man was in third year, and he had come to the performance lab, one of the performance lab lectures, and it was talking about these things about the riders and so on and all that. And he was a drummer, and he had done a few live shows. I can't remember who he used to perform with or something, and he was just completely not interested. He
Hmm.
sat there in the class, and it's kind of like I just wanted to just leave because he was just distracting me as well because he was just not paying attention. For him, it wasn't important.
Right.
Came back in fourth year, and he was like 100% there. So I said to him, I said, "What happened?" He says, "Well, after the lecture and stuff, which I thought he wasn't listening, he had gone back on the road a couple of times, and he said he could see the difference of when you do have things in order, like your riders and stage plots, etc.,
Hmm.
versus not having it, and he could say, wow, now I see the difference."
Good. Good.
So
Good.
so those things are
Yeah.
that's the satisfaction you get, and
Yeah.
money can't buy that.
Absolutely. So let's talk a bit about some of the other shows that you worked on. I have some videos, so I guess we'll bring up the video and you can say what it is and have a bit about it.
Let's see what you got.
This is
Oh,
Kumar.
so this is Kumar. Yeah, he used to be with Raging Fire.
Yeah.
Um, this was at Ganja Fest, in
Okay.
Negril. This was back in 2000, and what was the year of COVID? This was the year just before COVID.
2020. So that's 2019 probably.
So this is 2019. Yeah. So this was Kumar performing at Ganja Fest. That was a really
Okay.
nice show. It was kind of just well, it's Ganja Fest, so everything is chill. So and yeah,
And
it
here we
was
are.
it wasn't easy doing a show on the beach, because when you're setting up and you're doing stuff, there's like a
Element.
million sandflies,
Yeah. Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
and it's breezy and so on. But that show was one of the shows that were, how would you call it, leading towards what you call it, my final kind of, like I need to withdraw because that was
Okay.
one of the shows I did. That was
Why?
end of
Why?
the live, especially the outdoor shows,
Okay.
2019 into 2020, the year of COVID. No, I,
Hmm.
I was just doing too much production work. I really
Okay.
was.
Okay.
I'd done, overseas. I'd done, Whole Long in the Arena. I'd done that Ganja Fest, and then I think you have a video now of something else was Rebel Salute, and
Yes.
yeah, and the weather was awful. Yeah. and and yeah, I'd done like about 10 productions here and overseas in the space of about 3 months, and I
Okay.
was tired. I don't know how people do it for a living the entire
Yeah.
time, all the time, every year. Maybe they don't do that many productions, but I was doing a whole range of stuff. So it was Father Holong, it was a Ganja Fest, it was a Rebel Salute, it was something at Little Theatre.
Yeah.
There was a show for Edna. It was just a whole range of different things. So you're having your brain is just kind of going like a you know
Hmm.
hornet's nest of different things you're having
Yeah.
to process.
Yeah.
And then COVID came.
Right.
And when COVID came, it was the first time in my life, after nearly 30 years in production, that I didn't have any production work to do. I'd already kind of made up my mind I needed to take a little break. And then
Hmm.
COVID came, and then there was nothing to do. And I still had, the architecture side of stuff doing. But it was the first time in 30 years that there was no this division between the two that, oh, so this is what it's like to go home and not have to plan a production or not be at rehearsals or not be up late all night long, for
Yeah.
3, 4 nights doing a production. I hadn't experienced that. I'd never known what it was like not to live like that, you
Yeah.
know, finish a production on Sunday night and then drive back to town and be in the office working on, architectural work or a site meeting on Monday morning. That was the normal life for me. And then suddenly COVID came and it was like, oh, I can go
Slow
home.
down.
I can watch a movie. I
Yeah.
can watch TV. I can be at somebody's birthday party or decide I want to go to dinner. Never knew what that felt like.
Yeah.
So there was a recalibration, which I think a lot of people did a lot of recalibration during COVID.
Yes.
And and then I just kind of said, well, I'm going to kind of restrict it to Campion and Father Holong. That's
Yeah.
it. And maybe the occasional other thing, but
Yes. Yes.
not this boom, boom, boom,
Oh,
one
yeah.
after the other,
Isn't it
So,
funny how once you're in that groove, you can feel like, oh, this is normal. This is what people do, even though you
yeah.
might be running yourself
Yeah.
around, and then
That's right. You think this is normal. This is a
yeah,
normal life. It's not.
it was so
you know.
refreshing. I thought. I mean, a lot of people. I mean, COVID messed up a lot of people's heads because I was like, I can't do this thing away from people.
Hmm.
But
Right.
it was. I loved it. I absolutely loved being able to be at home and not being around people, and and some projects that I wanted to do, I got to finally do. Like this podcast
Hmm.
began as a
Hmm.
COVID project. So I
Hmm.
did 40
Yeah.
episodes of this podcast during COVID.
Yeah.
So to design my
No,
website.
no, but Michael, my life was. I'll give you a perfect example. So we're planning Gunga Walk. So we spent a whole week getting everything ready. There's planning before that, but a whole week, and everything, and 2 days getting the whole, Edna set up with the
Right.
stages and everything or whatever. And then Gunga Walk was one whole day. This happened one particular year, one whole day on the Saturday, and at 12 o'clock we're pulling down and everything, and at 5 o'clock in the morning I'm at the airport flying out to Texas to do a show in Texas. Okay. And then Monday morning, I'm flying back to Jamaica at 5 o'clock. So I spent more time in the theater and traveling than I actually spent in Texas, so to speak. And
Right.
then, and then Monday afternoon, I was back in the office dealing with a design for a building or whatever. That was my life,
Yeah.
I don't know how my wife stayed with me all these years.
And then you have,
you know,
I mean, you have your beautiful wife and you have your beautiful house, which with this wonderful view, which you deserve to take some time and just enjoy them all. You know. So I
yeah,
mean, I'm glad you made the decisions that that you made.
yeah. No, and
Yeah.
you know what? I tell you what. At the end of COVID or during COVID, I say there was this kind of recalibration, and I remember I agreed to do a particular show. Um, for it was they couldn't do the grand gala in the stadium. They were going to do some grand show or something they call it in the arena,
I remember. Yeah.
and yeah, and they called me to do the show, and I was like, oh, okay, well, it's in the arena. I'll be working with Main Event, who I enjoy working with. And so I said, okay, I'll do the show, and it was a disaster. I screwed up with stuff. There were too many chiefs and not enough Indians. It was just everything was chaos, and I said I didn't do a really good job. And part of that, I remember thinking on the night, I'm literally sitting there and I'm going, I'm not enjoying this. Why am I doing this? I don't want to be here. And that was like the final straw. And I said, that's it. There are
Yeah,
certain things I'm just not going to agree to do,
yeah,
you know. And in fact, there's been other productions that people have called me to work on, and especially soon after COVID. And I was like, no, there are plenty of people who, I have my architectural work. I can still earn a living, and I still earned a living during COVID with that.
right.
Who I knew, and a lot of the people that I work with that I love, and what they didn't have any work, so I would just turn down the work. I said, no, call so and so because they need the work after COVID. I don't.
Right, right, right,
So,
right.
and that was very, how would you call it, liberating, being able to say no.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Because creatively you want to do certain things, like,
Yeah.
but yeah, I'd reach my limit. You know,
Okay.
so.
All right. Let's look at some of the architectural stuff. So I
So,
mentioned
so
earlier.
hold on. So stick a pin. I'm not retired. I kept saying I'm retiring, but I'm not retired. I'm just more
Okay,
selective.
there you go. There
Yeah,
you go.
let's leave it at
Because well,
that.
it's a good thing you said because I mean Gunga Walk has never ever left my thing. I'm just never going to do it the way we did it before. So if I
Right.
ever get funding and stuff for Gunga Walk, just
Hmm.
know that pick up the call when I call you. All right. So because for me, you were there from the beginning, so you need to be there wherever it picks up. So
Mm.
uh, let's talk about architecture. When did you discover that you had that love, that interest, that it was it at Cast at UTech? Well, it wasn't UTech at the time, but
No, like theater, I kind
oh,
of fell into it.
okay.
I got involved in theater because I had a girlfriend that I kept going to rehearsals following behind her. And the director said to me one day, listen, man, if you're going to hang around like a bad smell, you might as well make yourself useful. And that's how I got involved in theater. That was not
Okay.
something I set out for.
Okay.
And I got into architecture because, ironically, I was always good at technical drawing and art. And when I was finishing high school, the last thing I wanted to see was a T square or anything. And I had all sorts of other options to do. And in fact, I applied for construction up at Cast.
Uh-huh.
And there was, at the time, they were trying to evolve the architectural technology course into a full blown, degree architecture course.
Hmm.
So they wanted students who had that kind of inclination. And I remember I was in construction, and the guy who was trying to get this architectural course going, I mean, I literally, it was like this. It was like he's calling the register and he gets the bust, and I'm like, present, and he lifts up his head and he goes, why are you in construction? I was like, because I applied for construction. And that was the last I heard of it until the following term or year. I can't remember which one it was. And I went to go and check where my name was on the roster and didn't see my name on the roster at all for construction. I thought they'd kick me out. They shifted me into the architectural course. I didn't choose architecture
Ah,
at all,
okay.
And then
Okay.
as the years went along, it just turned out that, you know, I could do
Yeah.
it.
So quick
you
quick
know,
story.
um,
Quick story. When I'd left, because when I left Woolmer's, I went to UA, and that was horrible. I was at that side, dropped out after a year, and then I was good at technical drawing as well, and so I went
mm,
to UTech, and I said, oh, let me apply for architecture. So they brought me into this interview.
hmm
Me and my dad were there, and I think there was like three other people, but so they said, "Hey, we'd love to accept you," and then they go, "But we see you on on
but
screen, on TV performing with little people and blah blah blah. You have to
mhm.
make a choice. So it's either architecture or little people." So okay, great, thank you so much. I've made my decision. Goodbye.
Well,
so
there you
so that
go.
never happened.
There you go.
That never happened. So let's look at some of these things as we talk about architecture. Um, these are what is. So you designed this whole building,
Yes.
which is you
So we
said it's a
design the
warehouse.
building, we do all the construction drawings, and then do all the supervision and
Okay.
project management for it. You know,
Okay.
so this building is actually warehousing and
Mhm.
distribution center for. I can't say too much about it, but
Right, 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 right.
But it's a warehouse and distribution center, and so they have the warehousing, but they also have the offices for their wholesale and everything in that. So what you saw there was the offices section, and to one
Right.
part you just saw like the warehousing at the back.
Mhm.
Yeah,
So I mean,
to the what would be the left there.
looks quite
Hmm. Go ahead.
utilitarian on the outside, but inside, it's look at this. I mean, what's going on here? This is the same
That's
building.
right. So it was the inside was relatively simple because they didn't want to spend a lot of money on a lot of fancy finishes and all that stuff, but we just felt that the place needed to have a little jazzed up. So conceptually what we did around the elevator shaft was we brought in this artist um to do this mural, and this whole thing just extends up the entire elevator shaft,
Wow,
which is in a void, that so you can literally on the ground floor look all the way up, two stories up, and see this artwork going all the way up. And
beautiful. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
so so
Uh,
this was the office part, and there's another mural as well on another section. So when you come out of the
okay.
elevator, you look back at another mural.
Ah, great. Yeah.
Hmm.
Well, aesthetics is such an amazing thing because it can lift your spirits in the most wonderful way. When when you look at something, when you look at beauty, you react to it. I think. Um,
And this is it, and architecture. Um, so I have a key thing to say, with architecture. Two things is one that it's if it's if it's if it can be used by people and enjoyed by people, and function comfortably for people, then it's not architecture, it's just sculpture. It
okay.
just looks pretty, but it can't do the job that it's supposed
Right.
to do. So it would just sculpture. The other one is taken from and call it a ancient architect or designer, a guy named Vitruvius, where translated into English, it's the thing is that architecture must have firmness, commodity, and delight. So the firmness is that it can stand. It's not going to fall down. It
Right.
must be able to withstand whatever it's subjected to. That's the firmness. The commodity is that it must work.
Yeah.
It must
But
work. It doesn't
but have
make
a
sense,
function. Yeah.
designing an office building and people go in there and they can't use the office building because things are just whatever. The building must flow. There's a language of things. We know when we walk into a house, you don't enter the house through the bathroom. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I've seen people design things like that. I mean, they're
Yeah.
not architects, luckily,
Yes.
but you see things like that, or the only entrance into the house is through the kitchen or through someone's bedroom. No, we know that the language of entering a house is through some kind of front entrance. You come into a living room or a hall, or and so on and so on. So there's a
Yeah.
language that is there. So, and that's the commodity of a building. It can function. It must do what it was built for and designed
Right.
for. And then, like this elevator shaft, the delight, the
Yes.
joy. When you look through an opening and you see something at the end of that passageway, or you look through a window and what are you actually seeing, or that's a delight. This is the thing that makes us think, oh, this I like this. Why is it somebody says I like this building? Because there's something that excites our senses. It
Yes.
excites us visually. It excites us, psychologically on a level of this space feels good. A lot of people can't articulate that, but they know it.
Yeah.
Instinctively, we know it. You go into a space and like, ooh, I don't like this space. It's creepy, or it's claustrophobic or whatever.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
and I'm always, because I think the theater work and architecture have both kind of fed off of each other. And
Okay.
I use elements from theater in architecture and vice versa, you know?
Yeah.
So I think that has benefited me and kind of gives me a unique skill set.
And benefiting your
That is,
clients, I think.
I guess. I mean,
Yeah.
when I first told my clients about, oh, we were going to do a mural on the elevator shaft, they were, you could just see their kind of eyes squinting, like, what are you talking about? What you talking about, Willis? And then of course, when the mural started happening, they just were coming by every day to look at it and just thought,
Yeah.
oh, this is so exciting.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
but yeah.
Yeah. No, this is opulence. Where is it?
So this is a villa just outside of Montego Bay, and it was done for a daughter of a well-known business family in Jamaica.
Okay.
and I can't tell you too much, of course.
Of course.
If you jump back to the picture before, um, that living and dining room area, that opening is the largest single span in a residence in Jamaica. It's 54
Wow.
feet wide,
Okay.
and yeah, we had some very good people working with us engineer wise, and that opened out onto the veranda and pool deck
Okay.
area and
Okay.
so on. But yeah, that was a nice challenge. It's a beautiful villa, and in the end, I mean, if I say so myself, but but yeah, I liked it. I mean, I have done some work which I've like not 100% happy how it turned out in the end,
Yeah.
But for the
Yeah.
most part, yeah, everything turns out, and I'm happy with it, and having the clients make a big difference,
Okay.
you know, um, because sometimes the clients like producers, like people, in college who are supposed to be the people that are, this is what they want, but then they get in the way, you know,
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
and yeah, so sometimes you can have clients that are like that they want something, but they actually get in the way of it. But these clients didn't. They saw the vision and they were like, let's go for it, 100%,
Wonderful.
and
Yeah.
and when that happens and you have that synergy, then you get some really, really wonderful things happening. So
Yeah.
yeah, it was a
This.
very sort of Jamaican vernacular type design and work. This is
Yes.
something
Yes.
a bit more modern.
I love this
Um,
floor. What do you call this flooring again?
it's
Epoxy.
epoxy. It's an epoxy floor, and this
Delicious.
is the reception area of a building for
Hmm.
this shipping company.
Okay.
And so
Makes sense.
what we did was we did the floor with the blue
Yes.
and
The ocean. Yes.
mixed it
Makes
just
sense.
right so that we could get this play of the water. And what we actually did was we had the blue float outside to the steps so it looked like water flowing outside.
Oh,
And
perfect.
a little neat little detail, I don't know if you noticed it, but if you look at the
Yes.
railings are actually
Oh,
shipping
wait.
containers floating on the sea.
Oh, wow. That's cool.
Yeah,
I
that's
love
right.
that. I love
So
that.
that's is coming down the stairs and looking down at the same floor. And as I said, we
Yeah.
made sure that the textures were not just a flat blue, but had
Yeah.
these textures like the sea in there and so on.
Ah,
So yeah,
yummy. Delicious. All right.
delight, delight,
Yes.
delight.
Delight.
There you
Yes.
go.
Yes. Yes. All right.
so
Where is this now? I mean, as much as you can tell us. Another villa,
so
or is this a
this
house?
is a villa. This is a
Okay.
proposed villa in Trelawney,
Okay.
and they yeah, the clients are some friends. And so we have the dining area beside the kitchen, which you see in the background there, and then we have like a little breakfast area that's lit by a skylight above,
Okay.
just to bring this light into the middle of the house,
Mhm.
and open it up. There's also a courtyard to the right, which you can't really see, but it
Okay.
actually opens out to the open air, and the whole view when you come through the front door, which you see in the other picture, looks
Yeah.
straight through to the sea,
Oh,
and
okay.
they'll have an infinity pool. So the pool and the sea will just look like one body going out.
Beautiful.
And this is the front view of it.
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
yeah,
Okay.
they
Yeah.
like it. And hopefully they'll start building it sometime this year.
Okay. Okay. So
Just
this,
got the
so
approvals
this is
and
just
everything for it.
concept so far. Okay.
Sorry?
This is just concept
This
so
is
far.
not
This
the
is
concept. This is the design. This is the
okay.
design. This is what it's
Okay.
going to look like.
Okay.
And
Gotcha. Okay.
that's one of the fortunate things that I've been able to manage to do is that when we do, renders and stuff like this,
Yeah.
yeah, 99% or 95% of it is going to look exactly like that,
I
you
gotcha.
know?
Gotcha.
So,
Okay. All
mhm.
right. Well, I mean, let me put on my little closing music.
Oh, we're coming to the end.
Yes, we've been talking now and over an hour now. But we're
Oh,
used to
wow.
that.
Mm.
We're used to that thing
Well, I
now.
haven't spoken
Yeah,
to you in ages, Michael. So, I mean, we've had a lot of catching up to do. So,
exactly.
and you get me worried now about talking about Gunga Walk again. Good
Look,
Lord.
we're not there yet. We're not there yet.
We're
We're
not
not
there
there
yet. I'll
yet.
be there in my wheelchair, wheeling out
It's like
between the stages.
yes, you've been mentoring people. So you do that. You do that. You
Yes,
go there. You go there. Go
that's
ahead.
right.
Go ahead.
That's right.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So, yeah, I can't do too much with the music behind me. I need to, now, as I said before, I have to get used to this thing with the scripting and the blah blah blah, and so
Mhm.
So we have to let me do my spiel. Let me do my spiel. All right.
Yes,
Thanks
sir.
again, Robin. So creativity is often celebrated for what we see and hear, but just as important are the unseen hands and minds that build the conditions for creativity to exist at all. Robin reminds us that creativity is both inspiration and intention, vision and execution. It is structure and possibility, discipline and wonder. And what was the other one? The delight. Thank you, Robin, for helping us to understand what
Mm,
it means to truly build creativity. And thank you for joining me on this episode of Mike's Moment of. Until next time, keep listening, keep learning, keep finding meaning in your moments. Thank you, Robin.
thank you.
Bless us. Yeah. I'm Michael Sean Harris. I hope you're entertained and informed, and that you feel inspired to join me again and again in my moments of